live. Okay.
What's up?
Is there like a stage start to that where you get like a 10-second count in?
No, it'd be nice if there was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, it's great. I'm sick again.
Same, definitely. So
I feel like I've been sick for 4 months now.
that's pretty much. For me, it's been like the first of the year.
Yeah, like December or something like that.
So excuse the scratchiness.
Well, and you have an extra reason for being sick because you were up really late last night.
Yes, fortunately, we're here in the Pacific time zone, so it was only midnight. Some of our East Coasters were up till, a little after 3 this morning.
Yeah, how'd that go? How'd the pre-orders go?
First
of all, what did you pre-order or attempt to pre-order? Not to give anything away.
Definitely an Apple Watch, and probably more exciting to me was the new MacBook.
Okay, so which kind of Apple Watch?
Definitely was. Well, let's break down my decision matrix into individual components.
Yeah,
because really, this is the first device that has a whole lot of options.
I mean, within 3 weeks, you have essentially gone from an Android user to full Apple phone and now watch.
Yeah, completely changed. So the one thing I noticed was I absolutely miss a smartwatch. And of course, the last few days the reviews have come out, and the watch is not hit it out of the park type thing, which was nothing I ever expected. In fact, I think looking back at the reviews, I think most of the people were kind of expecting Apple to solve smartwatches.
Sure. I'm not sure that. Yeah, I think that's like solving gravity. It's
exactly.
It's not something.
I don't even know what that means. So.
Exactly. So, okay. So
of course, a couple days before, I'm like, I don't even know if I want this.
Right.
So, my next decision was, well, maybe I'll just get the Sport because it's the cheapest. It does everything. Having been a watch person though most of my life, I know the benefits of a sapphire screen. I've had plenty of smartwatches without them, and I have plenty of nice watches with sapphire, and there's a huge difference in the durability.
There is. Now, my counter to you, because I did not pre-order, disclaimer, spoiler, whatever. I didn't pre-order anything last night. I was sleeping soundly, which was awesome. But for me, I'm personally, if I get one, which is still not for sure, I'm strongly leaning towards Sport. And we had discussed, in private before, the main reason is, my phone, and my phone has a great screen that is pretty darn durable, and it's made out of the exact same aluminum that the Sport model is made out of. So
I totally get that, and that argument definitely rang strong. It's like I'm not disappointed in my iPhone. Certainly nobody looks at an iPhone and says, "Wow, that's inferior materials." But
right.
Like I said, I've bashed enough watches against things to appreciate having them. And that is $200 for that to upgrade to the stainless steel. So already there, I'm like, okay, so I'm spending $600. Gonna get that with the Sport Band.
Okay. Sport Band?
Nope, that wasn't the final decision.
Oh, okay, got it. Good. We got to go through the entire decision matrix here. Okay, so.
No, I know the one I want is the metal link bracelet. That's it's the nicest looking. It goes with everything. If you're going to spend a lot of money on a watch, you might as well spend a little more.
Yeah. So you went with the stainless with the link bracelet, and how did that work out for your delivery time?
Just got a question from Mark. We have a live listener.
Excellent. Yeah. So.
Queuebit from the chat asks, what purchase makes the most sense? Apple Watch, new MacBook, or Tesla Model S? That's a very painful question because they're all awesome things.
They are. What's your take on it?
For me, there's no question the MacBook. For me, that's the one that makes the most sense for me because that's my job. That's what I do. In fact, I'm hoping to get to.
Yes, Potato Wire, who's also in the chat room, has weighed in with his, which is solidly Model S. If prices aside, and let's say that all three have an extremely high value, and I think have a price that is 150 to 800% of the value. So, from my perspective, if the actual size of the check did not matter, mine would be the Model S.
we're sitting in my house. This is where I work. This is where I live. So the car for me is
your commute is
priority is very low on that.
So getting back to the story.
So anyways, it's the $1,000 stainless steel model.
Right. So you decided to go with that.
Yep.
Now when is that shipping?
4 to 6 weeks. I think I have a day in somewhere in May. So it's clear. Apple went to great lengths to say orders open on the 10th, starts shipping on the 24th.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a lot of gaps in information. Could you ship them to the store and pick them up on that day? Would you be able to change your pre-order when you go in for an appointment? And this is the one thing that has been completely frustrating. Getting back to the MacBook, it's even more frustrating on that end. Apple has always relied on secrecy. I mean, they've always kept their mouths shut until they had something to say. But I always felt in the past it's been, we're quiet, and then we tell you something, and it's true, and that's the full story. Now I feel like they've been trickling all these half secrets out. We never get a full story, and as a consumer, delays bother me no matter what, but I'm always waiting for something, so it's not really a big deal. But I left last night feeling completely frustrated because I was immediately, definitely one of the first orders, not getting one of what I expected to be the top selling watches, the Sport. I thought, it's not going to be a big deal. First order, get it in. I'm definitely going to have mine on the 24th. And no, and again, it's not that bothers me in principle, but it's just it's expectation. It's, Apple set an expectation, and I felt like, I just didn't know. And when consumers don't know, it's just frustrating.
Yeah. So let's move on to your other purchase.
The one that I would rather have than a Tesla apparently.
Right. So you ordered day one. You ordered the MacBook.
Yep. So again, this is something. I went with the 512 one, $15.99.
Gold.
Space gray. Absolutely space gray. Now, if I remember from the keynote, it was starts shipping on the 10th. We'll have them in stores and everything. And that was fine. And again, I was really more excited for this one because again, this is the device I plan on using every day.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead and put my order in, and ship to stores available, and I got a date of starts shipping 1 to 3 days. I had available on the 22nd, I think my date was. But I kind of blew that off because in the past, I know I've ordered the new iPad on the day of and had it shipped to the store, and then the morning of it's as soon as they unbox their shipments, it's available for you to pick up. Cool. So I went to bed expecting to wake up and have an email ready to pick up. And our producer Mark, my brother, who's on the East Coast, was up at 7 o'clock my time at the Apple store to see what the deal was, and it turns out they're not going to have any of them in the stores at all.
That's kind of a big deal.
It's
so literally the unnamed Apple Store employee at unnamed East Coast location said to him basically, we're not carrying these. We're not carrying these. They're built to order.
Built to order, all of them.
Which is hilarious.
He called, I guess, a couple other stores to confirm that, and they all said the same thing. And
wow. I mean, that's a change.
And again, in principle, that's fine. I've had laptops shipped to my house from Apple all the time. In fact, that's usually what I do. It's only here at this house that an Apple store is literally down the street.
Yeah.
In the past, it's been kind of inconvenient to go. So again, in principle, it's not a big deal. But I gotta say, going into it, I would have liked to have known that ahead of time.
It is, and it didn't seem like the expectations were really well managed on the MacBook. It's just like, they'll be available on the 10th.
Yeah.
Which is not like pre-order, which is not like and this is something that basically seems to be the new trend, which is, we don't want people hanging around the store.
Yep. Yeah.
We're trying to cut down on the lines. We're trying to cut down on that, and I don't know.
I took that as we want to make it better for the customers who are willing to stand in line. But it seems like Apple just doesn't want people hanging out in front of their stores.
Right.
It's more of a...
Or in the store.
Yeah.
They're turning it into kind of a showroom, if that's the case, because it's a showroom for the watches. It's a showroom for the laptops, all of which is really cool, and that's been really helpful. Yeah. But it sounds like the only people that are going to be standing around an Apple store now are people with broken Macs.
Oh, yeah.
or iPads or iPhones waiting for their Genius appointment.
That's
I'm
the
sorry,
last
concierge appointments.
That's the reason I was there the last time.
Yeah, it sounds like it sounds like in order to gain some level of sanity at the stores, which I can completely understand, they want that sanity. They're taking the most enthusiastic people and cutting them out.
Yeah.
The most enthusiastic buyers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's these people are camping out from the store not to loiter. They're camping out to buy something. They're your day one customers. They're the people who are going to go home, blog about it, podcast about it, and talk about how awesome it is.
Yeah. So okay. So in your gift wrapped package of disappointment that Apple delivered you this evening, you received dates essentially. Yeah, and those dates are what was the date for the MacBook?
I think it's the 22nd. I need to I'll check.
So the MacBook will be
subject
available.
to change. I'm sure.
Subject to change.
But now it's shipped to the store, and it's like at that point, I don't want to sound like I'm bitching about having to wait a week for a watch or
Is it a
a
week
laptop.
12 days.
Yeah. But again, I felt like they go to great lengths to set this expectation that they just kind of blew off.
Now, producer Mark had a friend who also got the stainless watch, and he got it with a sports band, right?
Yeah, and he got a ship date of the 24th.
24th.
So,
yeah. Okay.
So apparently
your fancy link bracelet's taking a little while.
What is it? 9 hours per bracelet to hand make or something?
Yeah, something like that. So they had to, go out and hunt down the stainless steel and slay it and skin it. Something.
So,
I don't know.
Again, I feel stupid complaining about it, but yet.
Yeah, well. So the time I thought that like an Apple launch was handled the best was it the 4S where they had pre-orders and said pre-ordering online is going to be the best way to get it day one. Like they said, this is the pre-order date that starts.
Yeah.
And like day one will be this day. It will be available in stores, but also if you pre-order, it will literally show up on your door that day.
Yes.
And like no kidding, if you bought it, and that was the time you did have to jump between like the Verizon ordering, AT&T ordering, but no kidding, if you got it on order day, then the day that it showed up in the stores was also the day that it showed up on your doorstep, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Mark just recalled that he ordered the 4 and the 5 and got it 2 days before, because again it's shipped right from the factory.
That's right. So if they ship a little early, they ship a little early. So that's pretty awesome.
Again, like I said in the past, I felt like they helped you kind of through, we know there's going to be problems, but this is what you need to do for your best chance. This was just kind of like anything goes, at midnight something's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you're going to get your chance.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it was just, like I said, a little bit of a disappointing, but.
Well, okay. So, but in the end, now, before you were thinking, and we had a discussion on this, I think, on our last episode, where you were thinking of the MacBook as a tertiary machine, the middle machine, I think we called it.
Yeah.
And your perspective on that has changed a little bit.
Well, the more I think about it is I'm perpetually stuck between 2 and 3 devices, on every category. Two is not enough, 3 is too many. And, given that kind of revelation, if I'm going to be unhappy in either 3 or 2 devices, I might as well be unhappy and have, extra money in my pocket.
Right.
One less computer,
right.
One less thing to maintain. It just makes it so much easier.
I can see that.
And we were talking about it yesterday. It's if the MacBook isn't sufficient to do my job, then it's not sufficient as a tertiary computer or a secondary computer. I mean, it really isn't.
Well, I mean, this gets back to something that we've struggled with in the past is this temptation to buy capability.
Yes.
Like, it's very, 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 very tempting to get yourself as much as you could possibly ever need ever. Whenever you're buying something, but that's a lot of dead weight that you're carrying around for maybe a 5 to 1% time, use. So your concern with the laptop is like, what if I have to leave my desktop and go away for a while, due to say a family emergency or something like that. And we both experienced situations like that in the last year. So I mean, this is not completely, hypothetical.
Exactly.
But as I was thinking about this, I'm like, if I know I'm gonna need to go away, due to a family emergency for like a month, and I know I'm going to be staying in a place where it's like that, the chances are that either if the MacBook is insufficient for me to do my job for that length of time, I'm going to do one of two things. I'm going to either sell the MacBook, or I'm going to box up the incredibly tiny desktop that I have on my desktop. Right? I mean, I'm going to box the Mac Pro up.
Of course that's
yeah,
what I would
and
do.
then I'll go and buy for cheaper than probably, for cheaper than any of it, I could go and get like a $100 1080p monitor and be up and running with the fastest machine that I've ever owned.
Exactly.
So,
I tend to prepare too much for disaster, and that's great and all, and on some fronts, having water and food and whatever, but I don't need to have a computer dedicated for, like you said, that kind of really rare emergency.
Yeah, I mean, and that's where having the MacBook as a secondary computer is fantastic. Should you have the MacBook as a primary computer, I would argue strongly against it at this point.
Yeah.
But I don't think that that's not. I don't think that that's an impossible use case for somebody who has a lifestyle that does not that's working for that. So say you're a college student, I'd say absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, if you're a college student, you're not now. If you've got access to printers, or if you have a wireless printer, for example, I mean, you just want to carry that thing around and basically use it to take notes and write reports. And your iPad and/or iPhone are not the best for that. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. No, that would be a perfect.
Unless you're a CS student, and then probably not. And you probably got a better desktop.
I mean, the truth is, I don't connect anything. I mean,
the only time I see you use your laptop as like a power user thingy is basically what you're doing right now, sitting here recording us talking on Logic.
Yeah.
Everything else you're using in traditional laptop mode.
That's not that. I mean, we're just doing standard audio recording.
Right. I think it was.
CPU.
I think it was Jason Snell's. It was either his Macworld or his Six Colors reviews. They're both great. But he said he used Logic on the MacBook and it did great. And the only difference was it took a little longer to export. So yeah, it's they're good machines.
Oh yeah. I mean, long ago we've had enough power.
Yeah. Well, a little bit of follow-up I'll say is I'm using the Charge HR still, which has been nice, but I found that if I the way that they communicate the heart rate monitor thing makes you think that you're doing it wrong if you don't have it cinched down right up to your wrist, and I got some major RSI-like symptoms for that.
I had the same experience.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always had problems with RSI, so I kind of blew it off to, it's just a bad week for me. And of course, because I was having two things on my wrist, it was on my right wrist, which is of course the prone RSI wrist. And by nature, I tend to wear watches pretty tight. I don't like them flopping around on my wrist, and that band's actually really stretchy. I mean, the rubber on it's actually really nice.
It is, so you can cinch it down to tourniquet levels.
It's actually really comfortable.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's not that comfortable because, like I said, I got the hand numbness and full on RSI symptoms.
Now, the good news of that is that I have loosened it, and it's got a fair amount of play here, and yet I've seen almost no change in the heart rate.
Very cool.
So yeah, there's not gaps, there's no anything like that. It's actually been pretty as reliable as it ever was, and you can argue as to whether wrist-mounted heart rate sensors are.
I think they're good enough for most things.
They're good enough for me. I'm not the pickiest customer on that though, so.
I'm wearing a heart rate strap right now. No.
Yeah. So let's see. Since we recorded last, had you gotten your Garmin?
Yes.
You had gotten it and used it day to day. I'm not sure that we talked about it though.
No, I don't think we have.
This is Garmin Fenix 3. Is that what
Garmin Fenix 3.
Okay, yeah. What do you think?
I don't have a lot to say about it, and that's why it's the right device. I mean, I'll go through and as an everyday watch, it's fine. It tells time. It receives notifications. It's a little clunky, but it's enough to look on and see that, which is nice. But I mean, you'll notice I'm not wearing it now. It's big. It's small for a GPS watch, but it's still pretty clunky.
Yeah, but you're in digital mourning because you haven't gotten you didn't get your watch.
That's true.
Immediately on. Yeah. Okay. So
I'm ready to quit the smartwatches now. So.
Well, yeah. So how do you see yourself? I mean, you go out to hike, or are you going to leave your shiny new stainless
no question.
Apple Watch behind?
Yeah.
Rather than do the digital.
This is a watch. This is a tool. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're 100% on the Withings system. for like?
I have a few of their things, but yeah.
They all integrate with Health, Apple Health, iHealth, whatever it's called.
HealthKit.
HealthKit.
Is that Apple's?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
yeah.
Take something and put Kit behind it.
The area I actually need the tool most, or where I find the most use, is sleep. You know, monitoring my sleep has always been a thing. I'm a late night person by definition, so it's very easy for me to find myself staying up, half an hour later every night until it's 2 a.m. And usually I don't change when I get up, or when I do, it has adverse effects.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
So it's just anything to monitor my sleep has been extraordinarily helpful. So I got the charge. Oh, the
Charge, yeah.
Yeah. Just because it did automatic sleep tracking.
Right.
The one thing I hate doing is the, go into sleep mode and, turn it off in the morning.
That's been one of the nicest things from the news.
And that seemed to work pretty well. I don't care about the, claims that they could detect REM sleep and different sleep cycles and stuff, because I just don't believe it. I just need times. When did I go to bed? When did I get up?
Okay.
But like you, the charge was just too much.
Right.
So Withings has what they call the Aura. It's a pad that goes under the mattress, and then it has a little tabletop thing with a light, that glows orange at night and blue in the morning, to wake you up calmly and softly, and it plays, sleep sounds and stuff. But
live sleep quality tracking, so it immediately shows you at all times how good a sleep you're having right now.
Yeah.
I think it's broken though, because every time I wake up, it tells me I'm awake. So what's
but it detects your heart rate and respiration through the mattress, and whether you're there and movement and stuff. And the automatic sleep tracking is actually really good. It's one of the few ones that actually detects the difference if I'm reading in bed versus sleeping. Because, when I'm laying in bed and reading for half an hour, I'm actually quite still, and most of the other ones think I'm asleep. This one actually...
You're probably more still when you're reading in bed.
Almost certainly,
yeah.
This is one of the few ones that has usually a block of awake time for an hour before I go to bed, because I'm laying in bed reading for an hour, which is really cool. So it's been awesome. It's one less device I'm not wearing, which is great. So that's good. And I've always used Withings. I think they were one of the first Wi-Fi scales. So I've had that since day one, and I had the original one, and that's been great. And then I'm carrying the little step tracker, just because that's the one thing I also do like, is an all-day step tracker.
Yeah, it looks like somebody glued two Fitbit ones together and gave it a kind of common display.
I think it's called the pulse, because it also does your heart and oxygen saturation. And that's fine.
It does oxygen sat too?
Yeah.
Well, you have to stick your finger in it or something?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That would explain why it's a little bit bigger.
Yeah. And that's fine. It's got a long battery life. And again, I just clip it to my waistband and don't think about it.
Well, and if they're all integrated, that's great. So, Fitbit, just recently we did a post on the fact that Fitbit has decided that they're going to, do multiple device tracking, as well as they'll support your phone. That was announced 3 weeks ago as oh yeah, the update's coming this weekend or something, and it's still not out. So I think I don't know if they're just trying to say no, Fitbit people, you could stay with us.
Please don't leave us.
Please don't leave us.
Well, speaking of,
Up3 got shipping announcements. They had a really nice email where they put in, hey, yeah, we're gonna start shipping these, late in April. So don't go buy the Apple Watch because we haven't shipped you your Up3 yet. And one of the nicest things at the bottom was, and if you want to cancel your order, just respond to this email, which I did, because I've had a pre-order going for a long time, and I've got a Charge HR now, and I may or may not decide to go Apple Watch later. The main reason that I put the pre-order in for the Up3, of course, is because Up plays well with Apple's ecosystem. So in theory, while you're charging your watch, you can do sleep tracking with an Up. But boy, it's taken a long time.
Yeah, I had, before I got the Charge HR, I had the Up 24, and the button broke. So I emailed them and got back a response a day later, we're really busy. We're gonna get back to you in a couple days.
Yeah.
And
shipping is a feature.
Yeah. I definitely think they're having troubles.
Well, we got about 5 minutes left here. So what else has been going on in your technical world?
I'm trying to get rid of things, actually.
Yeah.
To bear down.
You've been doing a lot of eBay sales.
I've been doing a lot of eBay sales, and I'm going to be doing a lot more. Nothing terribly exciting. It's just switching back to Apple has worked as it should have. I mean, it removed so much distraction from my life.
Okay.
You know, I mean, I knew that when I walked into Best Buy a week later, and then the S6 and Samsung. I've had Samsungs. I think this is the first one that is actually a really, really nice phone on its own accounts.
Nice.
Picked it up and I was like, wow, that's really nice. I don't care. It's nice, but I don't need it.
Yeah. This is a big change because I mean you were a before the iPhone you were a 4 to 5 phone a year person. After you left the iPhone, you became a 4 to 5 phone a year person again.
Yeah.
And now you are TBD, but you bought an Apple Watch, which is kind of
I'm back in.
An investment in the ecosystem. Yeah.
It's a lot of my hesitation was more personal. I don't want to be stuck in Apple. But what I learned with this last Android thing is I'm not stuck. I mean, getting out was terribly, terribly easy. I was so concerned about losing iMessage and all these ways of communicating with all my other Apple friends, and the truth is, it didn't matter.
Right.
It's making a decision quickly, moving on. If it doesn't work, send it back. If it does, great.
Which is a totally reasonable approach. Yeah. I think it's you're moving. It seems to start to focus on what can you do with these devices.
Exactly. I feel like now, the toolkit's coming together, and now that I realize I'm not happy with 2 devices, I'm not happy with 3 devices. So I'm not going to be happy again.
I mean, there is no magical device out there that is perfect for everyone, for everything at all times. I mean, that's an inherent part of reality. I'm not sure if there's anything in my entire existence that I have been like, this is 100%, this is 100% perfect. And that could very easily be a negative statement about my personality in general, which I will totally take. But on top of that, I mean, I think that's just, that sort of dissatisfaction just comes along with the territory. So you find something that hits a sweet enough spot, and then you get on with your life. That's been the thing that has, for me, with most Apple stuff, has been the thing is it tends to just disappear. I stop thinking about it once I have it. It's not glitzy. It doesn't make me want to overly engage with it. Like, ooh, let me see if I can tweak this. But
I jailbroke the thing immediately.
Yeah, you did jailbreak that.
I mean, I'm still the phone tweaker. I mean, I still like phones. I still like playing with phones.
We're gonna have to talk about that on the next one.
Yeah, definitely.
Because that's a whole subject that I've set down now for a few years, and I'm willing to take a look at it again. Because
I'm actually now that we're talking about jailbreaking, I'm actually kind of thrilled that maybe my watch won't show up on time, because if they don't have a jailbreak for 8.3 by the time the watch ships, I'm going to have a dilemma. I'm going to have to de-jailbreak or use my Apple Watch.
No, the big question is whether they're going to jailbreak the watch.
That's going to happen.
I don't know how it's going to happen if it doesn't have that diagnostic port sensor thing on it. 0-port device. I don't know.
It'll happen.
It'll be interesting. Well, this has been good. I'm excited to hear the progress of your future, your impending Apple orders, and waiting to see when they come in.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. So thanks for listening, everybody, and
thanks for watching.
Yeah, we'll chat with you guys next week.
See ya.